I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. Mappe is Tom Meikle, a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, producer and avant folk artist based in Ontario, Canada. Signed to Paperbag Records, a great indie label I've followed for several years, the third album, Afterglades, is due for release on September the 19th. After hearing just the first single, I was intrigued and wanted to chat with Tom about his music, the upcoming album, which I've been listening to a lot, and more. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the 10,000 Hours of Indie podcast.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
I have to say, first up, in my humble opinion, this is a really, really good album.
Oh, cool, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So let's start at the beginning. Where did you come up with the name Mappe, and why is it misspelled?
Yeah, totally valid question. It's always kind of an arduous process trying to come up with a name for anything, but particularly for a project, there's so much pressure on it, So it was like, I had this huge list of names in this journal that I was writing in that my parents had given me for one of my birthdays. And it was kind of like this stylized sort of old English, Middle English map that was on the cover of it. And it had it spelled this way, like Mappeof. Whether that's a valid Middle English interpretation or whether it was just some artist's choice to stylize it that way, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was on the cover of this journal that I was using to come up with the names, and it kind of got added to the list, and then it stuck.
No, I think it is. It's Old English. It's ye olde map, which would be spelled like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a lot of people think it's French or something like that. Apparently it's also a Finnish girl's name, but I just learned that today.
So you're a multi-instrumentalist. Are you self-taught, or like most of us who are multi-instrumentalists, did you start with lessons on something from a young age?
Sure, yeah. I picked up guitar a bit later on, but I started on piano when I was really young. Like I must have been 7 or something like that. And did that for a couple of years, but I hated it, to be honest. And then a few years later, I think it would have been in grade 7 or 8 or something like that, like 12-ish. I picked up guitar, and then I got lessons for about a year from one of my brother's friends, which were great. And then from that point on, I was more or less self-taught. There was a guitar class in my high school, so I did that as well. But there was a lot of kind of just messing around in that class. So it was mostly just sitting in my bedroom, learning stuff by myself from that point on. And then in terms of the multi-instruments, it was just over time picking stuff up, and anything stringed is a little easier to adapt to. So, bass and like mandolin and banjo and stuff like that. And then kind of just learned the keyboard stuff, piano stuff out of necessity for composing and things like that. I'd really like to be actually good at piano, but I think it's mostly just passable for playing ballads and things like that at this point.
It sounds very similar to me. I had piano lessons about the same age, and then when I could eventually get rid of them by about the age of 11, I was so glad to be rid of it. And now most of my songwriting is based on the piano again.
Right, exactly. It all comes back around. Yeah,
exactly, it does. But like you, I wish I could play the damn thing.
Yeah.
I knew what I was hearing when I first heard Dead Letter and the Infinite Yes, which was, I think, the second single from the upcoming album.
So that was actually a cover that I did. So that song is originally by Winter Sleep, which is also a Canadian band. So that track came out a little while ago. That's not on the upcoming record.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that's what I first heard. It wasn't actually the first single. That was the first thing I heard.
Okay, I was dragged in by a cover. Wow, that doesn't happen for me because I normally know their covers, so I'm impressed. It did make me then have to look into what avant folk is, as I'm terrible with genres. For those who haven't heard your music, can you give the listeners an idea of your sound?
Sure, yeah. I guess a lot of the time it's based around the fact that most of the songs are written with an acoustic guitar in mind. And I guess in terms of genre, a lot of people consider acoustic guitar equals folk. You know, the original terminology of folk music, as in music of the people and all of that, it's a little bit like the meaning of the term has shifted, you know. But in order to describe music in a colloquial way, you kind of use those terms, right? And then so the avant part is just like, I don't know. It's a pretentious way of describing the elements beyond the acoustic guitar. Sort of like there's usually some electronic elements going on and orchestral arrangements and things like that sort of expand beyond the normal like indie folk palette, I guess you'd say.
On to the new album. This is your third album and has a huge layered sound to it. Some interesting song titles and some very emotive lyrics. Tell me a little about the themes of the album and what you set out to make.
The record is sort of based in this sci-fi aesthetic, and the themes revolve around that. It's a lot about like the consideration of the technology and its impact on our society and particularly the environment. There's a lot of like reflection of our not only technology, but humans in general, our impact on the environment and how we reconcile that with having to exist, you know, having to move through life and trying to have a net positive impact on the world. But the concept overall revolves around this couple that's like navigating this post-apocalyptic scenario where our society as we know it has kind of deteriorated, and they're living in these sort of after times or afterglades, hence the name of the record,
right.
as like a, you know, a description of the landscape of those after times. You know, it's kind of how I think about it. And, you know, they've come to terms with the idea that this is about to end. The whole human experiment is about to end. And it's a lot of asking, what would that look like, you know, from an emotional standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, how we sort of reflect on what we've done with what we've been given, how we would feel about it faced with that situation.
That's where a lot of musicians are going with their songwriting at the moment. It's a very
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic landscape with a lot of the people I'm speaking to, and I do understand why with the way the world is right now. Obsolescenic, which isn't a word I could find anywhere, but obviously it's we know what it means.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the obvious, or is there something deeper to that song?
I think it is kind of all in that word. Like the word was the genesis of the song in this, like, it was just, I don't know, sometimes a lot of song titles for me are based around that sort of thing, like conceiving of a word or a phrase that feels a little bit alien or foreign in some way and like ascribing meaning to it. And I think that word, you know, obviously obsolete, scenic, combining those those concepts and like reflecting on the idea of humanity being obsolete and what our environment looks like as a result of that. It's all contained in that title, you know, and that's what the song is about. It's pretty on the nose in that respect.
Yeah. Do you think that song could kind of sum up the album in a way, in the sort of post-apocalyptic theme?
Yeah, I think that one, it was one of the earliest ones that I wrote. And so I think, you know, in its nature, just kind of dictated more of like the zoomed out view of what the concept was. Like some of the songs are a little bit more intimate about individual moments or stories within the context of the greater concept. But that one is more, this is the like thesis statement, I guess, of the record in a lot of ways. And also sonically, it's kind of that. It's like runs the gamut dynamically and musically in that way.
I have to say, for me, A Scourge Laid Upon the Earth is my favourite track on the album.
Sick.
I love
man.
the way the acoustic guitar comes in at the beginning and it just builds and builds. And I love tracks that start with so little and build into something.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too, for sure.
It's been 6 years since your last album. What has taken so long?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it's 6 years, so it's hard to kind of truncate into a few sentences. But the last album came out, things kind of fell apart from a professional standpoint, from a personal standpoint. My partner got really sick, so I was trying to be there for her in that capacity, but I was also dropped by my booking agent. So, and then COVID happened shortly after that. So it was just kind of like this. Can I swear or no?
You can. Yes, of course you can swear.
Okay, yeah. It was just kind of a shitstorm of of chaos going on at that, basically within a 6-month span, all this stuff happened in my life, changed. And so for a couple years, at least after that, it was like survival mode to some extent, got a regular job and started composing for video games. So that's kind of my day job now. And then, yeah, after a while, it was like, I wasn't really sure what I was going to say with Mappe, from like musically, I didn't know what I wanted to say. And it took a while to kind of get the engine back up and running. It was a lot of like kind of frustrated writing sessions and stuff like that. Yeah, it was tough for a few years, but then eventually, the engine kickstarted with the help of some friends, and this album arrived.
Sometimes it helps to go through rough times to create more music because you need to experience. I can't write when I'm happy. I have to be angry or upset or something to write a song. I can't write songs when I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I as much as I don't want to necessarily submit to that, like there is some truth to it, depending on the type of art that you make in the state that you do need to be in order to create it. I think I did need to go through something like that in order to be in a place where I could make something meaningful. It's like I could have maybe forced out a bunch of stuff at that time if I sort of got over myself, but I had to get to a place where it needed to come out.
So I always enjoy a background check through social media on the artists I speak with, and you have a good mix of music updates, fun times with friends and other musicians, and clips of making music on your socials. Do you find social media enjoyable or a chore, or both?
Mostly a chore, to be honest. Thankfully, my wife is a social media expert. Essentially, she has done that for her job for a few years, and she makes content for brands. So she knows what she's doing and helps me immensely on that front. If I were left to my own devices, I'm sure my social media landscape would look very different. But it's just not like I have difficulty maintaining a healthy relationship with it. I think I've gotten better over time, but yeah, I'm very conflicted about the whole thing, as most people are, most musicians, especially, just the pressure of it. It's like every year it feels like you have to post more and more, and it's not enough to just do this. You gotta, it's not enough to make the thing. You have to make a big deal about the thing on social media. And it's like, it's enough work just making the thing, and trying to make it good. The thing being music, or even music videos and things like that. It's like, you got to make the music video, but then you got to make little clips of the music video. You got to make behind the scenes of the music video, behind the scenes, it just keeps going. It's like this infinite content loop, So, yeah, I mean, I could speak at length about this, obviously, but it's a complex relationship.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably easier for somebody your age than me. I mean, I'm now creeping up closer to my 50s, and I still don't understand social media, and the fact it tells me you have to post at this time, and I'm like, but all the people I know will look at it now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I grew up with technology, with a computer in the house, and I got a phone when I was a teenager and stuff. So I was like just on that precipice of like it being normalized, I'm still, obviously, I'm a millennial, so I'm not like as adept as I'm sure Gen Z is about this kind of thing, but it's it's something.
Every time I want to try something new, I ask my kids to help me because two of them are teenagers and they know way more about it than I do.
It's in their blood, man. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So live shows. You've got 2 shows upcoming, Pop Montreal at the end of September and your album release party in Toronto on the 9th of October. Do you have anything else planned or in the planning stages?
Not at the moment. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm basically building the album release show from the ground up, right? Because it's been so long. It's a new band and we're playing the whole record front to back. So it's a pretty significant undertaking. So the focus has been on that. Obviously, we want to do that as many times as we can. So we're going to try and book some more stuff, some more shows with the band like that. The Pop Montreal show will just be me solo, which I've done a few of those gigs over the past few months. So yeah, it's kind of like there will be the odd solo gig and hopefully more band stuff. Yeah, just trying to get those gears turning.
Is there any chance of us us seeing you over here in Europe at some stage?
Oh, I would love to so much, man. We are trying. Yeah.
The whole band, not just you solo.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing. Yeah. Getting the whole band over. Yeah,
it's a 5
incredibly
piece,
expensive.
Is it?
6 actually.
6 piece, right. Yeah, no, that is challenging. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the final question, what music are you listening to at the moment that people may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
Oh, sure. Yeah. In terms of like artists that are, I don't know, a little bit more present in the public consciousness, I'm listening to this new Dijon record called Baby, which is really dope, really interesting production. And yeah, it's beautiful. So that's been on repeat. Oh, the other one I've been listening to is Godly the Ruler. I'm not really sure where they're from, nor do I know much about them, but very cool. Kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit poppy. It's a little bit like R&B and hip hop at moments, and then also kind of like pop punk. But anyway, very cool. And then otherwise, I'm just like walking through the woods listening to dungeon synth music. Witch Bolt is a big one. I just like find stuff on YouTube like that, and my like sort of ambient music mode that I'm in right now. A lot of that, and like PS1 music, like soundtrack. There's this compilation. Burst Error is the name of the channel, and there's like a compilation on YouTube of all these like PS1 era ambient tracks. And it's dope. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that.
I might have to check that one out because that will bring back some memories, certainly.
Yeah, very nostalgia core. Yeah.
So for anyone wishing to find out more, you have a website, mapov.com. You regularly post on Instagram, and you've also got a Facebook page. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. I am on TikTok.
Okay.
It's not as regularly updated. I would say Instagram is the most like everything's kind of happening there. Most up-to-date stuff is on there. So yeah, that would be the place I would send people.
You actually posted a really interesting short of how you were editing something a few days ago.
We just put out a music video for Terraforming Moons, which is the 4th single on the album, which involves a lot of post-production and that kind of thing. So yeah, I just posted a thing about how I did all that post-processing work.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing because I'll never get my head around it, but it's always interesting to see what people have done and how they do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot of stringing tutorials together. Like I've never done anything like that before. I'm not a video. I'm certainly not a post-production person, but I like that kind of thing. You know, I like just messing around with technology. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and everybody comes up with something different when they use it as well, which is always fascinating.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, Afterglades by Mapov is released on September the 19th through Paperbag Records and across all streaming platforms, I assume.
You betcha.
Thanks for your time, Tom. I wish you the best of luck with the new album, and I really, really need to get you to Europe.
I appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you very much for having me on. It was great.